All right, so we are going to do another installment of interpersonal relationships. I have to share a funny story first with you all. When I went to make this screencast, I was going to use Screencastify so that you could see my face, like I was going to video record me, but then I thought that was really weird and I didn't because it would literally be me sitting in an office chair talking about this lesson. So I didn't. So you're just going to have to listen to my very soothing voice again. Uh, so today, what you guys are going to be going through is the section on the cognitive level of analysis and how we are attracted to people. Now, obviously, we already did the biological level, and that had a lot more to do with chemicals and all that good stuff that we know attracts us and to another human being. And I know we had some really amazing conversations one of the last days that I was there talking about that level of analysis. Hopefully you guys have some awesome conversations again. There's going to be a couple of different videos for this one where I'm going to do like 3 or 4 minute videos. You can watch them and then discuss with your group and then continue onward at your own pace. So that's kind of how the rest of this unit is going to go. I'll have different activities and stuff for you guys to do as you're going through it. The really big piece of the human relationships, or this part of human relationships, is you guys are going to be doing a project that you get to research any aspect of love that you want. I know last year we had, not love, excuse me, of interpersonal relationships. I know last year students did a wide variety of things from like if long distance relationships were better than geographically close relationships, and they looked at the advent of like online dating and meeting people online and how sometimes like how does that play a role in the way that relationships form, especially because we know under the biological level of analysis you need or at least some of the research says oxytocin is really important. So how do you get that same bond if you can't physically touch somebody, which often leads to a more or a stronger bonding experience. So I had students that looked into that. I had students that looked into divorce and why relationships fall apart, because that's something that we talk about as well near the end of this unit. So these are all things that you guys can think about, and then if any point you want to just jump ahead to a section of the screencasts that help you out with crafting your research paper and your presentation, as always, there's those 2 things. You may certainly use those instead of going through every single one. Now, I will say you do want to eventually go through all the lessons that I'm going to provide for you. It's really crucial for the IB exam. The one hint I will give you, though, is generally speaking on the IB exam, what they do for paper 2 for the section on human relationships is you generally get a question about interpersonal relationships, altruism, and pro-social behavior, and then also one on violence. So they usually give you one of each of them to pick from, and obviously you only have to pick one. So if you know 2 sections of this unit really well, then you should be set for the IB exam. Okay, so keep that in mind as we go through this. You might not need to know every little detail about, let's say, human relationships to do well. And also just a heads up so that I don't forget to remind you about this or give you some feedback for the IB exam as well. The other one for your abnormal psych, and this shout out to our SL section of the class so that they know what to really focus in on for that. But you guys in HL have to do the same since you do want an abnormal N1 on interpersonal relationships. The abnormal psych section often asks you about diagnosis, treatment, and then also like prevalence rates and things like that within the diagnosis itself. There is almost always a treatment question on the IB exam. So if you're really good with understanding the treatment for the disorders that we covered, you will be set to go for that section. Okay, so that's just like a little IB reminder as we move into our last month before the exams. All right, let's get back to what we're actually talking about today, because I just spent like 4 minutes talking about things that were unrelated. Story of my teaching career. But we're going to talk about the cognitive level of analysis today. And I'm only going to do a couple of minutes on this and then set you up for a nice discussion with your group. All right, so 2 theories that are important in the cognitive level of analysis are Mori in 2007 and Markey in 2007. I told you guys the other day that you're really just attracted to yourself. That whole opposites attract thing is not actually true. For the most part, really good relationships are built on commonality. So, what these two models show us is that there's this attraction similarity model. Friends and partners are perceived similar to you. Attraction predicts similarity. And then when the two combine, humans reap psychological benefits. So basically, what it says is if you're attracted to somebody, that similarity is like being predicted. Like, I guess, like that they are similar to you in some capacity or that you're attracted to them because of that. What this other theory shows is that it kind of like validates this whole attraction similarity model, which is, participants, they were asked to describe their ideal partner and then they were asked to describe themselves. Guess what happened? That's right, folks. It was the exact same thing. They were so similar to the descriptions of each other, as in, like, they described themselves and it was similar to their partner. Okay, so it kind of validated this whole idea that we really just like ourselves a lot. I will say the one thing that is a issue, or how about you guys can talk about this too. The sample in this study, in Markey's 2007 study, is described as young people. What's the problem with the age group here? Can you guys come up with any idea? Not just like the surfacey stuff, but where exactly, or what are the limitations to using uh, people that might be, let's say, 15 to 20, what's going on there? Or even like 12 to 20, which I know is a large age group. But what do you think some of the issues are with that? If you want to pause the video for a minute and take some time to talk about that as a class or in groups, certainly do that, because I think it is worth investigating for this study. But now here's the big one that I would like you guys to actually discuss. The other one was kind of optional, but this one I want you to take a minute in your groups to discuss this. It says, is similarity the reason that humans are attracted to each other, or is it a result of a relationship that causes this to occur? So remember what we thought. Well, actually, I was going to give you a tip, but I'm not going to. I want you guys to think back to our original studies on the cognitive level of analysis to answer this question. I'm going to have a link to a form set up on this document or on this video so that you can go in and put your answer in. But I want you in your groups to kind of figure out what theories sort of come up, or not come up, but describe or explain what this question might be asking. Could there be something else at play here from the cognitive and sociocultural level of analysis in particular from last year that shows us or illustrates for us that humans may become more similar because of a relationship that's formed? So that's the end of this first little lesson. I want you guys to fill out the form that's linked at the end of this video. But talk about that with your groups, talk about it with Mr. McHale, see what you guys can come up with about a theory in cognitive and sociocultural psychology that explains maybe how it's not the similarity that happens first, but it could be the other way around, which is the similarity happens after the relationship is formed.